You want to know about fun? Going to public places, knowing you're going to make a fool of yourself. Embarrass your parents. Ah, shit! My dad finally couldn't take it anymore. He divorced my mom. Said he'd still be around, but I only could see him at Christmas time now. Shit! Shit! The worst part is, I know how lonely my mom is. A lot of times I know she'd be better off if I was dead.
Thomas was supposed to be the second most important character in HIIIII Park. His story would have been the darkest arc in South Park fan fiction history. 3 animatics were planned to explore his journey. He would have had more screen time than anyone except Gregory himself. We almost got to see it. Almost. When HIIIII Park was cancelled in May 2021, we didn't just lose a webcomic. We lost entire worlds that existed only in documents, concept art, and the minds of Wire and the moderators. Today, I'm going to show you everything HIIIII Park could have been. The storylines that were planned, the characters who never got their arcs, the world building that was never explored, and the spin-offs that died before they could breathe. This is the content we never got. Before we talk about Thomas in HIIIII Park, you need to understand who he is in the original show. Thomas appeared in the South Park episode about Tourette's syndrome. He's the boy with the condition that Cartman pretends to have. In canon, he's a minor character. Forgettable, even. In HIIIII Park, he became something else entirely. Thomas was reimagined as an imp, a low-ranking demon, with powers unlike any other character. He could vomit blood, not just as a disturbing visual, but as a conduit for visions. His blood could show others echoes of the past, glimpses of possible futures, windows into moments that changed everything. If this power had been fully utilized, Thomas would have been HIIIII Park's oracle. The character who could reveal the truth when no one else could. But his backstory is where things get devastating. According to the HIIIII Park novelization, a comprehensive document created by fans and moderators to compile all the lore, Thomas's story begins with tragedy upon tragedy. In our timeline, Craig Tucker's boyfriend is Tweak. The ship became canon in 2015. But in the HIIIII Park universe, Tweak was never born. He died alongside his parents in a car accident before he ever took a breath. Without Tweak, Craig needed someone else. And that someone was Thomas. The two became a couple. And because of this, the Asian girls of South Park, the ones who draw romantic fan art of the boys, started depicting Thomas with Craig instead. The attention should have been flattering. Instead, it destroyed him. Thomas, already struggling with depression from his parents' divorce, couldn't handle the scrutiny. Years of self-blame. Years of feeling like he wasn't enough. Years of being watched and drawn and shipped without his consent. A year and a half before the events of HIIIII Park, Thomas took his own life. The project was called HIIIII Park. But how much of hell did we actually see? Not much, as it turns out. The cancellation came before the story could truly explore its namesake. In South Park canon, during Season 10, Satan makes a heroic sacrifice and is welcomed into heaven. This left hell without a ruler. Damien, Satan's son, ascended to the throne, and he had different ideas about how to run the underworld. According to the HIIIII Park rundown, an internal document originally created for new moderators, Damien's version of hell was called the New Hell, and it was revolutionary. Instead of eternal torture, the new hell focused on rehabilitation, therapy for condemned souls. The goal wasn't punishment, it was redemption. Imagine that, a version of hell where demons work as counselors, where the damned aren't tortured, but help to understand why they ended up there. Where, over time, souls could potentially earn their way to somewhere better. The rundown describes it as dangerous, but much more peaceful than before. A place where Pip, Gregory, Estella, Tweak, and all the other imps weren't just existing in torment, they were potentially healing. We never got to see any of this. The story spent most of its time on Earth, following Craig and his friends as they encountered the demons. The actual exploration of hell, the world building that the title promised, was always coming later. There's even lore about Satan's planned return. Not as a villain, but as a benevolent figure. A reformed demon king coming back to see what his son had built. How would that have played out? What would Satan think of the new hell? Would he approve? Would there be conflict between father and son over the direction of the underworld? We'll never know. The name, Hell Park, promised us a deep dive into the underworld. Instead, we got a glimpse through a window that closed before we could step through. Here's something that always bothered fans. If the main characters are demons, how did they become demons in the first place? Imps in Hell Park were once human. They died, went to hell, and transformed into these small demons with unique superpowers based on their personalities and deaths. Estella, beautiful and manipulative in life, gained hypnosis and portal creation. Gregory, who spent years climbing the Ring of Fire after death, developed the ability to extend shadowy limbs from his body. Thomas gained his prophetic blood abilities. But here's the mystery. Their families are in hell too. Tweak's parents, Estella's relatives. They all ended up in the same place. Why? What did these people do to deserve eternal damnation? Were they murderers? Sinners? Or is Hell Park's version of the afterlife less about punishment and more about something else entirely? We only have one concrete answer. The novelization explains that Tweak died at birth. A car accident killed him and both his parents, before he ever took a breath. That's why he's so nervous, so twitchy. He never experienced life. Everything is new and terrifying to him. But that raises more questions. If Tweak's family died in an accident, they weren't evil. They were victims. So why hell? Does everyone go to hell in this universe? Is there a sorting system we never learned about? And then there's Bibi. In Hell Park, Bibi was transformed into a Medusa-like demon, able to turn people to stone with her gaze, due to an error by Red. What error? How do you accidentally turn someone into Medusa? What was Red trying to do? Was it a spell gone wrong? A demonic ritual? A cosmic accident? This was never explained. The cancellation came before we could understand what happened. It's listed in the lore documents as a plot point that would be explored later. Later never came. The real tragedy is that these mysteries weren't unsolvable. Wire and the moderators knew the answers. They had planned it all out. The deaths, the transformations, the family histories, it was all mapped in documents that were never made fully public. Somewhere, those answers exist. We just can't access them. Hell Park was famous for its ships. But most people only know about the controversy, Creek versus Cromas. They don't know about everything else that was planned. Let's start with what could have been. Creek was originally supposed to be the main ship. Craig and Tweak, together, just like in canon. The early chapters even hint at this direction. You can see the setup, the chemistry being built. But then an anonymous moderator proposed Cromas, Craig and Thomas, and the ship wars began. You know how that ended. What you might not know are the other ships that were developing quietly in the background. Stangory, this ship was directly inspired by Sonic the Hedgehog, and Bartleby from the animated Sonic series. The dynamic of a hero and a refined rival turned ally. Wire loved this parallel, and built Gregory's interactions with Stan around it. Was Stangory going to become canon? We don't know. But the foundation was clearly being laid. Then there's Dip. This was moderator Nugatsa's favorite ship. She loved it so much that she created her own animation tribute. Who put the Dip, which achieved semi-canonical status within HIIIII Park's extended universe. The animation shows what their relationship could have been. The son of Satan and the gentle British demon, finding connection in the underworld. Light and dark, together. Other ships existed in development, Kenpu, Kenny and Dogpu. Various combinations that fans theorized about based on subtle character interactions. The moderators even created a comprehensive chart listing every character's sexuality. This was controversial at the time. Some felt it was unnecessary, others appreciated the representation and clarity. But it proved that Wire and the team had thought deeply about who these characters were and who they could love. None of these ships reached their conclusions. Every romantic arc was interrupted. Every will they, won't they became, they never got the chance. The community still ships these characters. Fan fiction and art continue the stories that HIIIII Park couldn't. But it's not the same as seeing Wire's original vision fully realized. HIIIII Park wasn't just one story. It was supposed to be an entire universe. Several spin-off projects were in development. Side stories that would expand the world while the main comic continued. Most of them never made it past the concept stage. Cooking with Pip was one of the most charming ideas. The concept was simple. Pip, the gentle demon, would host a cooking show within the HIIIII Park universe. He'd invite other characters as guests, and together they'd make recipes, while having conversations that revealed more about their personalities and relationships. One comic was published. Just one. Sketches existed for at least 2 more episodes. The format was perfect for character development, without heavy plot. Exactly what a spin-off should be. We got a taste. The recipe was never finished. Then there's Tweak No Esta Arqui, Tweak Isn't Here. This was the last HIIIII Park comic ever published. It came out in late 2020, just months before the cancellation announcement. This was the last HIIIII Park comic ever published. It came out in late 2020, just months before the cancellation announcement. The story follows 2 mysterious entities playing with Tweak's fate. They send him to Earth on Halloween night, where his demonic appearance goes unnoticed, because everyone assumes it's a costume. It's a haunting concept. Tweak, who never got to live, finally walking among humans, and still being invisible in his own way. Still alone even in a crowd. The comic ends abruptly. Just a few panels. No resolution. No continuation. Looking back, it reads like a goodbye. A final, incomplete thought before the silence. Visual. Folder of file imagery representing incomplete projects. There were also incomplete animatics floating around. Half-finished projects that showed glimpses of what was coming. Voice lines recorded but never assembled. Storyboards drawn but never animated. And then there's supernatural encounters. This is something most fans don't know about. After HIIIII Park's cancellation, a fan named Andrei Tartakovsky created an unofficial continuation. It was distributed privately, through email and Discord, between 2020 and 2024. A document called La Más Grande Historia Jamás Contada, the greatest story ever told, compiles the entire HIIIII Park narrative, including this fan continuation. It tells the complete story of what could have been, the cosmic villain behind everything, the true nature of the monster sleeping beneath South Park, and a climax involving divine intervention, sacrifice, and redemption. It's the closest thing we have to seeing how the story could have ended. Fan-made, yes, but created with such dedication, that it became part of the extended lore for those lucky enough to find it. The HIIIII Park universe was meant to grow. Spin-offs, side stories, expanded lore. An entire world beyond the main comic. Instead, we have fragments, beautiful, tantalizing fragments that show us exactly what we lost. When you add it all up, the scope of what was planned is staggering. Thomas's three-animatic arc exploring suicide, grief, and supernatural redemption. The new hell and its revolutionary approach to damnation. The mysteries of the imp families. The ships that were building toward something meaningful. The spin-offs that would have expanded the universe for years. Hell Park ran for less than 2 years as an active project. But the planning documents suggest something that could have continued for much, much longer. There's a painful irony here. We know more about what Hell Park was going to be than what it actually showed us. The rundown, the novelization, the character bias, the concept art, they paint a picture of a world we were only beginning to explore. And that's the true tragedy of the cancellation. It's not just that Hell Park ended. It's that it ended before it really began. If you want to understand how Hell Park rose and fell, the human story behind the creation and destruction, check out our documentary, The Rise and Fall of Hell Park. Link in the description. And I want to know, which lost storyline would you most want to see completed? Thomas's arc, the new hell, the imp family mysteries, the ships, something else entirely? Tell me in the comments. And subscribe if you want more content exploring Hell Park, South Park, and the stories that fandoms create, and sometimes lose forever.